Hi guys, so today we're going to be doing a 2020 election prediction between Richard Ojeda, he's the state senator from West Virginia, a Democrat, and Donald Trump, who was from New York but currently resides in Washington DC. So just to give you a sense of who Ojeda is, he's not a normal Democratic politician. He's very kind of out there. He made a name for himself by challenging a Republican in the West Virginia's 3rd district, not an incumbent, but one that was like quite like other Republicans, and he really wanted to challenge some of their alleged corruption, and that was pretty much why he ran. He closed an insane amount, a massive gap, more than any other Democrat in the country. He lost his West Virginia congressional race by 12 points. So you might say, well, that's not too good. Why would he be running for president now? Well, because that district voted for Trump by almost 50 points. So that kind of gives you a sense of how much of a big gap he closed. Everyone talks about Beto O'Rourke in Texas, but Richard Ojeda closed a much bigger gap than Beto O'Rourke did in Texas. If Beto O'Rourke had closed the same kind of gap that Richard Ojeda did, he would have won in a landslide against Ted Cruz. That's just to give you some perspective. So firstly, I'm just going to show you one of his ads just to give you a sense of how kind of tough, I guess, he is and how he would be able to get into the mud with Trump. He's a populist from West Virginia. Take a look at this.
I'm Richard Ojeda, and I've been under fire multiple times in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Tattooed on my back are the names of my brothers that did not come home. Now, my military record and my love of this country has come under fire once again by Carol Miller. How dare she, a millionaire,
That's his opponent, Carol Miller,
who has enjoyed a life of privilege under the very freedoms that I have fought for. I approve this message because I love this country and I'm willing to fight for it. And you.
So of course that was when he was running for the congressional seat, but I expect the same kind of ads to be ran when he runs for president. He also did another ad where I didn't watch all of them, but I think he really took out on Nancy Pelosi, criticized her there, and that really stuck out for West Virginia voters. So yeah, that's the ad. That kind of gives you a bit of perspective of what kind of guy he is. Not a normal Democratic politician. Very interesting character, but I'm going to stop blabbering. We're going to go on into a 2020 general election prediction between Richard Ojeda and Donald Trump. So, all in all, this would be an absolute blowout for Richard Ojeda there. He would easily dominate, especially in the Midwest. I mean, it would hardly even be a competition. In fact, I'm calling Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania for Richard Ojeda in the safe column right off the bat. Just because, yes, he can really appeal to the voters in those states. So we start off with 246 electoral votes for Richard Ojeda. It's pretty clear he's going to be the next president. Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, I guess South Dakota, most of Nebraska, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina. I guess that's it, which is pretty surprising. So we start off with 246 electoral votes for Richard Ojeda, 68 for President Trump, just because he can appeal. Why am I leaving all of these states that would be safe for Trump? Most of them would be going for Trump into the toss-up column. Well, Richard Ojeda can really appeal to the voters in those states. So going into the safe and likely leanings, there's a lot of toss-up states, so I'm going to go right into it. Texas, even though with another Democratic candidate, if they were this much of a quality candidate, I could see Texas going to them. I don't, because Richard Ojeda can't appeal to the Latino and minority populations. That's also why I'm going to call Georgia for the president very narrowly in the state of Georgia. Same thing with the state of Arizona. In Colorado, I don't think it would be a safe margin. I think it would barely go into the likely margin, and then Nevada would go out into the leaning margin. Now, people would be saying, what are you doing? Like, you have the Rust Belt states safe, but Nevada is only leaning Democratic. But Richard Ojeda has such a strong appeal in this area, but can't really appeal to the minority populations out west and in the south. Montana, that would be a bit of a far stretch to call that one for Richard Ojeda. I'm going to narrowly put that in the Trump column. Same thing with the state of North Dakota. Kansas, I'm going to come back to. That's an interesting case, but Nebraska's 2nd district, that would pretty much easily go over towards Richard Ojeda. I'm putting that one in the likely margin. I'm that confident. Nebraska's 2nd district, that would elect someone like a Richard Ojeda. The state of Iowa, that would also elect someone like Richard Ojeda, as well as Ohio. That effectively makes him the next president of the United States with 286 electoral votes. And so far Trump's at 139. So reasoning for all of these calls in these Rust Belt states and why they're all easily sliding into Ojeda's column, he can really appeal to the voters in these states, and I see him winning those states. So 286 for Ojeda, 139 for President Donald J. Trump. I'm going to go into Kansas and I'm going to make a big call. I think Richard Ojeda could narrowly carry that. They just elected a Democratic governor. They just elected a new Democratic congresswoman. So that could be signs of more Democratic trends in Kansas. But Richard Ojeda, I would say, is one of the only Democrats who would be competitive in these kind of states that are south of the Rust Belt. These are states that Bill Clinton was competitive in. It's kind of this like new type of Democrat, I guess, that Richard Ojeda is being. Same thing that Bill Clinton was, this new type of Democrat back in 1992, and Bill Clinton won many of these states. Now times have changed, but I think that Richard Ojeda definitely could be competitive in many of those states. So going down to Florida, that one would, okay, there we go. That's much better. Florida, I see that one going into Ojeda's column, not because he can really well appeal to the minority populations, but because I think he can appeal to the white working class in that state, the older voters in that state, and he could do quite well in the state of Florida. Same argument with North Carolina. He doesn't win it because of the high minority population, but because high minority population, but mostly high African American populations. He wins it because he can appeal to the white working class voters in that state. So that already puts Richard Ojeda almost becoming a landslide at 336 to Trump's 139. So let's continue. The state of Virginia, I see that one going into Ojeda's column, not by the margin that you would expect it to go in if states like Kansas are going for the Democrats, because it is more an establishment Democratic state. But I still see it easily sliding into Richard Ojeda's column. West Virginia, I see that one likely to go over towards Trump, not in a safe fashion, because Richard Ojeda is from that state and he's quite popular, but it would be quite, he's still very popular there, Trump, probably more popular than someone like a Richard Ojeda, and I see President Trump carrying West Virginia by about 10 to 15 points, so much reduced from the last time round, but I still see him easily carrying that state. So 349 for Ojeda, 144 for Trump. Where can Trump make it up? Well, these three states, Missouri, Kentucky, Tennessee, they have not voted Democratic in quite some time. In Kentucky in 2014, there was a competitive Senate race. It ended up going to the Republicans by a landslide to Mitch McConnell over Alice Lundergan Grimes. In Tennessee, Democrats put up a very, very strong candidate in former popular governor Phil Bredesen. He came up short by double digits. In Missouri, in 2018, incumbent Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill lost her seat to Republican Josh Hawley. Democrats have not been doing well in these states, and we're beginning to get very, very partisan. I can't see these three states going for Richard Ojeda. And Indiana, the vice president is from that state, but it is in the Midwest, and that's going to be a very tough challenge for Trump. But so you may think, well, this one would go to Richard Ojeda. His vice president is on the ticket, and for that reason, I'm going to put it into the pure toss-up column. Two more states, New Hampshire and Maine. New Hampshire, that one would go to the Democrats easily, Richard Ojeda appealing to those voters. And that second district in Maine, that would also go over towards the Democratic Party. So, 354 for Richard Ojeda, 173 for President Donald Trump, 11 as a pure toss-up. Part of the reason is these kind of ads.
Richard Ojeda, and I've been under fire multiple times in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Tattooed on my back are the names of my brothers that did not come home. Now, my military record and my love of this country has come under fire once again by Carol Miller. How dare she, a millionaire, who has enjoyed a life of privilege under the very freedoms that I have fought for. I approve this message because I love this country and I'm willing to fight for it. And you.
Definitely aggressive ads there, and I see ads like that winning him the presidency, honestly. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks guys for watching this video. Comment down your suggestions below, and I'll see you all in my next video.